We've got hashtags, Pac-12 matchups, bumps and spikes,
and a special guest you don't want to miss.
Sports Scene starts now.
Welcome back, Trojan fans. I'm Cecil Hannibal.
And I'm Angel Vizcarra. Me and my guy CC are pumped to be bringing you another edition of Sports Scene from Studio C of the Annenberg Media Center.
Yes, the Dream Team is back, and we've got all the USC sports you've been waiting for. And Angel, I hear the Trojans have a big game coming up this weekend.
Well, you're not lying, Cecil. Some big-time Pac-12 South football will be going down in the LA Memorial Coliseum this Saturday. 5-0 and number 21 ranked Colorado is coming to the Collie this weekend to take on the Trojans. USC will be looking for a third consecutive win in a game where whoever comes away with the victory will have the clear path to the conference championship game.
So Angel, tell me about the quarterback matchup this weekend. What should we expect from Colorado on offense?
Well, when you look at Colorado, they bring to the table one of the most experienced signal callers in all the Pac-12, a big, healthy quarterback in Steven Montez. 11 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions this year, a guy loaded with experience. Helton knows that it's going to be a lot of responsibility for this defense against Steven Montez.
You know, his progression and his growth from 2 years ago when we first saw him in the Coliseum to where he is now. I think as good a decision maker maybe in our league right now.
And the Trojans are currently 2-1 in Pac-12 play. How important is this win for them in their conference? It's
huge because, like I mentioned, a win right here against Colorado this weekend, it really puts them in first place in the South Division. And they, as they love to say, control their own destiny. If USC can go on a string of maybe 5-6 Pac-12 victories, they could punch their tickets to Santa Clara. And even more importantly, if you win this week, you could lose against Utah next week in a tough ball game and still be in the Pac-12 Conference Championship game.
So a tough game. So tell me, what is one thing USC must do to take this win?
All right, one thing USC must do is something they did a lot of against Arizona a few weeks ago, namely commit a lot of penalties against the Wildcats. They racked up over 160 yards of penalty yardage, something you can't afford to do against Colorado, as Clay Helton mentions.
The Trojans have to watch out for penalties while also trying to keep their key players healthy. Our correspondent Alexandra has our injury update. Alexandra?
Thanks, Angel and Cecil. Luckily, the team got to rest a little last week, but we still have a few injuries to keep an eye on. This is Nick, and he's going to be our injury model today. Senior linebacker Porter Gustin is dealing with an ankle impingement, which causes pain at the front of the ankle. It can happen when you come down too hard on your ankle and end up in this kind of a squatting position where your shin bone and the bone at the top of your foot are getting pushed together. This injury is also called footballer's ankle because it happens so commonly for football players, and it can cause inflammation and sometimes even bone spurs in the area. This injury makes it painful to move your ankle in general, but especially when you try to do that squatting motion again. Porter has been resting up his ankle and was held for a couple periods at practice, but he should be all right to play this weekend. Linebacker RAYMOND is recovering from surgery on his broken finger. He had a couple screws put in, but he's doing well, and he even practiced with his hand wrapped. Coach Helton says he'll be evaluated later this week to see if he's all right to play Saturday. And defensive lineman Jay Tufele was held out of practice this week because he was a passenger in a car accident during the bye week. Coach Helton says he's just being held out as a precaution, and they'll see how he's doing later this week. That's all for the injury update. Back to you, Angel and Cecil.
Thanks, Alexandra. Earlier today, I sat down with freshman wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. We talked about his life on and off the field and why he chose to be a Trojan. So I want to ask you first, why USC?
Well, I was choosing between 3 great colleges. I was choosing between Stanford, Notre Dame, and USC. And I have 2 brothers, obviously. One went to Notre Dame, and one goes to Stanford right now. So it was tough choosing between the three colleges, but I mean, I don't think I could have gone wrong with either choice, but I think it came down to what felt home to me. I mean, I love Coach Helton. I think he's one of my favorite coaches that I've ever been around.
So your partner in crime, JT Daniels, you both played at Mater Dei together.
Yeah.
He came with you, and he's your roommate.
Yeah.
How's your relationship?
We're pretty tight. I wouldn't say we hang out every day, but we're really good friends. We understand each other really well, especially on the football field. We've been playing for this is like our 4th year now. So we really understand each other on the football field when it comes to routes and timing and all that. So
this week, number 2 Mater Dei, and number 1 St. John Bosco plays this Friday.
Yeah.
Any predictions?
That's a tough rivalry right there. 2 great high school teams, but I'm gonna have to go Mater Dei. That's my alma mater, baby. So I got Mater Dei taking it.
What's the score?
I say 35-21, Mater Dei.
35-21 Mater
Yep.
Dei? Wow, you heard it here first. Mater Dei will get the win this Friday. Thanks for joining us. And Amon, I want to thank you for coming to the studio today.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff from Amon-Ra and Cecil there. Well, we're pretty much at the midway point of the USC football season now, so I think it's fitting we jump into a little game that we here at Sports Scene like to call the hashtag game. I'll give a statement or prediction about the remainder of the Trojan football season, and these 2 aficionados to my right will proceed to give me a hashtag either in agreement or disagreement. So Anwar, Noah, let's jump right into this thing with statement number 1. USC will go undefeated for the remainder of conference play. Keep in mind, that's 6 more games.
Angel, you said it yourself, and the hashtag I've come up with is wavy. We're going to ride that Pac-12 victory wave all the way to the division championship. You said it yourself. All we need is 6 games. We can lose to Utah. Control our destiny.
Yeah, keeping on that note, I'm going to go hashtag just beat the Buffs. I think if they can win this week against Colorado, the top team in the Pac-12 South right now, they can kind of ride that wave like you said. I think they'll have enough momentum to carry them through a pretty easy rest of conference schedule and then get them right to a Pac-12 conference title game.
Well, you got to start off with Colorado before you do anything else, right, guys? All right, second question. Senior tailback Cedric Ware will finish the season with over 1,000 rushing yards. What are you fellas thinking as you jot your thing up diligently? Currently, Ware actually at 335 yards on the season, so keep that in mind. He's still got more than halfway to go. We're going to start off with you, Anwar. What are you thinking?
My prediction, 50 Shades of White. If you're a Trojan fan, you remember Lendale White, and he shared time with Reggie Bush, just like Cedric has to share time with Malapai and with Stephen Carr. But Lendale White still got 1,000 yards. I think he can do it too. 50 Shades of White.
I'm going to go with hashtag can't score without the ball. Now, I do think Ware will get over 1,000 yards rushing this year, but I think the coaching staff needs to find a way to really feed the run game. I think with a young freshman quarterback, and we saw last week against Arizona that the run game really working. With a young freshman quarterback, you want to take as much pressure off him as possible. So feeding the run game, I think will be successful, will help USC become successful this year. So I think he should get over 1,000 yards, but I think the coach have to find a way to just feed the run game this year.
Well, you know what they say, where there's a Ware, there's a way. Worked on that one last night. All right, let's wrap this thing up. USC wins out this season, snagging the victory bell from the Bruins, the Shillelagh from Notre Dame, and they get back eventually to the Rose Bowl. What are you fellas thinking about the remainder of this season, and how optimistic are you going forward?
On this one, I'm going to say hashtag trust the process. Now, I don't know exactly if all these things are going to line for us. I think UCLA should be a pretty given this year. Even though it's always a tough game, I do have confidence in that one. But like I said, if they can get on a stretch here, win a couple games, and get some momentum for that Notre Dame game, I see a possibility of an upset there. And after that, a Pac-12 conference title game against Stanford, maybe Washington, I think we'd be able to do it. So I have hope, and I just want to trust the process. I believe in JT.
You guys remember that old Outkast song? Roses really smell like boo-boo. We don't want a Rose Bowl game. What, is the Rose Bowl game a playoff game this year? No. So why are we going there? We need bigger heights. We need to push for more. If we're just going to try and go for a Rose Bowl, why play at all? We're trying to be in that top 4. We want to be in the playoffs. And if it doesn't happen this year, it happens next year, the year after that.
All right, well, thank you guys for the time. Appreciate it. That's enough for hashtags. How about now we bump things on over to Nathan Hyun, who has more on one of women's volleyball's biggest stars.
The number 12 ranked USC women's volleyball team has been outstanding this season, winning 12 games and only losing 2 to Pac-12 teams. The volleyball team is currently 5th in the Pac-12, and much of its success can be attributed to junior outside hitter Kalia Lanier. The 2016 National Gatorade Volleyball Player of the Year has been the star player all season. Lanier leads the team in points and serve aces with 305 and 26 respectively. Last season, she finished with 511 kills, good for 5th in the Pac-12. Due to Lanier's contributions, the women of Troy are beginning to gain national attention as the team is starting to make noise in the NCAA. We spoke to Kalia earlier about how the team is preparing for this week.
Brent has this thing called the defensive toolbox where whatever tool you need to get the ball up, that's what you use. So just overviewing those things, the basics that we already know, but sometimes you forget. Yeah, just keying in on that, being balanced, composed, and going for every ball.
After finishing third in the Pac-12 last season, Lanier has a chip on her shoulder and hopes to lead the Trojans to their first national championship win since 2003. That's your player highlight of the week. Now, Angel and Cecil, back to you.
Thanks, Nathan. Well, Cecil, as we saw, you had the pleasure of sitting down with USC wideout Amon-Ra St. Brown. But here's some more from Amon-Ra and his former high school teammate, USC quarterback JT Daniels, as they break down the age-long question: is a hot dog a sandwich?
Hot dog is a sandwich because a sandwich is two pieces of bread together with something in between, whether it's meat, lettuce, whatever you want.
I think unless it's spread apart, it's not a sandwich because it's not between two pieces of bread if it's connected.
All right, Cecil, our relationship has been good to this point in our lives, but I think it might break here. No way a hot dog is a sandwich. You've got one continuous piece of bread. How is that a sandwich?
Listen, Amon has a point. Listen, where I'm from, right, when there's no hot dog buns, take a piece of bread and you make it a sandwich, okay? So there is a hot dog sandwich.
There we go. Well, those are called struggle dogs.
It is a struggle dog.
I've been there. All right, thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Sports Scene. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Annenberg Media Sports. I'm Angel Viscara.
I'm Cecil Hannibal, and we'll see you next week.